What's going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with Guitar Control. Today we're going to make some connections that I think is really super important for your fundamental understanding of the fretboard and how to just kind of connect chords that you know with maybe a single line arpeggios or scales. So I think this is a really important lesson for anybody to know for any skill level. And I'm going to tab everything out that we're doing here, so make sure you click the link below to grab the tab, and let's jump right into it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to play all the 7 chords in one key, just like this. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add all of the notes that make up those chords. So if you've never really thought about, okay, maybe I know a G major chord, whether it's open or whether it's a bar chord, it's like, okay, well, that's actually a G, a B, and a D note. If you've never thought about that, this is a perfect lesson for you because it doesn't require any music theory. It really just requires a couple shapes and then going through what's called a chord scale. All right, now a chord scale is just like, if you've ever heard of the major scale, those are just the single notes that sound good together in one key. A chord scale are all the chords that sound good together. We've done other videos on the Guitar Control channel about this, so make sure you kind of click around and just kind of like look at the other videos that I've taught to get a full understanding of this. But I'm just going to kind of breeze through it. Is that there's 7 main notes in the scale, which means there's 7 main chords in the scale. Any one of these become a chord. So that's the chord version of every one of those notes. All right. So when you play them as such, we can end up with these big full chord voicings, or we can play the notes one note at a time, like. So all together, the entire exercise is going to sound like this. Really actually easier than it may seem at first. So let's just get started. This is going to be in the people's key, the key of G. We got this G major chord. All right, now I'm playing a bar chord. You can play any G major chord you want, but for the purpose of the tab, it's going to look like this. I'm barring the 3rd fret. My ring finger's grabbing the 5th fret on the A string. My pinky's got the 5th fret on the D string. My middle finger has the 4th fret on the G string. And again, the high E string and the B string are both 3rd fret. Like that. Now the way I'm playing it, I'm hitting the root note first, and then strumming the chord. Okay, hitting that root note first kind of establishes G major, and then kind of reinforces like the major or minor chord structure into your ears, right? And of the main chords in the key, in any key, 3 of them are major, 3 of them are minor, and 1 of them is a little different, which we're going to get to in a second, right? So now we have this shape, this major shape, root, chord, and then we're going to take this one arpeggio shape where we're just taking the notes in the scale that make up this chord, a G, a B, and a D. Now, it's really helpful to know the names of the notes, but it's not necessary for this. We just need this one shape where we have a root note. We're going to go 2 frets higher, 2 frets higher from there. So this is all on the low E string. And then when you lead with your ring finger to get that 3rd note, 3, 5, 7, your pointer finger should line up close to the 5th fret on the A string, and then go straight down to the 5th fret on the D string. 3E, 5E, 7E, 5A, 5D. So G, chord, the notes in the G chord. Now this ends up happening being a G, A, B, D, G. Again, the main ones are just the G, the B, and the D make up the chord, but the nice thing about that A note right there, the 5th fret on the E string, is it kind of leads us into the next thing, right? So we're going to do that for pretty much every one of these chords, right? So this being the first note in the key of G, this is the first chord in the key of G, G major, right? Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go 2 frets higher to the 5th fret, A, and play A minor. You can also play A minor open too, but the nice thing about doing it this way is that all these shapes become movable. And now we're going to do pretty much the exact same shape with one small variation. So first of all, the chord is it's just like the first chord, but with your middle finger up. So it's 5E, 7A, 7D, 5G, B, and D, all the way down. All right, if you can't get all 6 of the strings to ring out, don't worry about it. This is really just as much a conceptual exercise as it is a bar chord hand positioning exercise, all right? So we've got the A root, the chord, and then just like before, we have a root note, 2 frets higher, but instead of going 2 frets higher from there, we're actually gonna go just 1 fret higher. 5E, 7E, 8E, 7A, 7D. Okay, so the third note in this little run is called a flat 3 because again, major was 2 frets away, minor has a flat third, which is either 3 frets away from the root note or 1 fret away from the second note in there. Okay, so now we have a G chord, a major arpeggio, an A minor chord, a minor arpeggio. Next thing is we're going to take the third note in the key of G, which is B, 7th fret, and do the same thing. Which this is just a B minor. So you don't even have to know what the notes of a B minor are. Really, this shape will give you the first, the flat 3, and the 5, and then the octave again, which is the first note at a higher pitch. 7E, 9E, is that flat third, 10E, 9A, 9D. Okay? So, all together we've got the G and its chord, and the G major arpeggio, A minor chord, A minor, B minor chord, B minor. Next one is going to be a C, but I want to switch to the A string. Now when I say switch to the A string, that just means we're rooting the next chord on the 3rd fret of the A string right here, okay? So, really, really super easy. 3, 5, 7, 5D, 5G. Everything else stays the same about that arpeggio, but now we're just rooting the chord here. So the only way I change the shape of the chord is by now I've got this kind of double bar chord thing. Some people may have seen this shape before, where it's 3A, 5, 5, 5, D, G, and B, and then optionally the 3rd fret of the high string if you want. I kind of like playing it either with 2 fingers, like my pointer finger's got the 3rd fret of the A string, then my pinky's got D, G, and B, or my ring finger. Just kind of contextually, wherever I happen to be, that's kind of what ends up getting either the ring finger or the pinky, right? But now we do the same thing. Root, chord, and then this exact same arpeggio, but now rooting it on the 3rd fret of the A string. So that's the 4th chord. A G, major 1 chord, arpeggio. The 2 chord is A minor. The 3 chord is B minor. The 4 chord is C major. The 5 chord is D major. The exact same thing we just did on the C, but now we're 2 frets higher. So the 5th fret of the A string is a D note, which you already knew from the G, A, B, D. Now we're rooting here. And then same thing, root, chord, major arpeggio. So you already noticed that the 1, 4, and 5 are the same arpeggio, which really is kind of like a very bluesy thing to just play the 1, 4, and 5. You don't even need minor chords. You can just go the 1 chord, the 4 chord, to the 5 chord. So this has value aside from just being like an exercise to practice some of this stuff. It's really just kind of like looking at the fretboard and really just making sense of the entire thing, right? Now we're on the 6th chord. Right here. The 7th fret of the A string is an E. We're going to make an E minor chord, which is the same shape that we did for G major, but rooted on the A string, 7th fret. So 7A, 9D with my ring finger, 9G with my pinky, middle finger, 8B, root, chord, and then the exact same arpeggio that we did on the A and the B, the E. So you'll see that it's really just a couple different shapes that we can move around however you want, all right? So, G major, do the whole thing. A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. And finally, what's this? 7th chord in the key of G is F sharp, 9th fret. This is a much different chord. This is called a minor 7 flat 5 chord. You see, this is like a half diminished chord or diminished chord. But I want to use this chord voicing because it's actually really, really easy to do. I think it's actually probably the easiest one of all the 7 that we've done. Your root note is the F sharp, the 9th fret, the A string. Your ring finger is 10 G. Your middle finger is 10 D. Your middle finger is 9 G, and your pinky is 10 B. Okay? Minor 7 flat 5 chord, very fancy chord, right? So really, we could pretend this is a minor 7 arpeggio, or a minor arpeggio, just like the other ones. But instead of going here, we're gonna flatten the 5 too. So we have 9A, 12A, 10D, and then the octave 11G. But it's not done. No. Instead of grabbing the 2 right here, we're gonna grab a flat 2 as well, which we're gonna get to in a second. So this is gonna be the tricky one, the different one. That's why it's so special. 9, 10, 12, 10D, 11G. F sharp chord. 1, flat 2, 3, flat 5, 8. Very kind of signature sound for this one, right? And then the next one, the 10th fret on the A string is G. And then that just kind of takes us home. So the same chord shape. We're not going to do the arpeggio. You could if you want. You know the arpeggio already. We're just going to hit it here. So the entire exercise sounds like this. G major chord, major arpeggio, A minor chord, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 7, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, G. And then 2 at the end. Again, I almost tricked myself into playing that arpeggio at the end. But anyway, very helpful exercise. You can do this in any key. You can move everything up 1 fret to do it in the key of like A flat or G sharp. Move it up 2 frets to do all the chords in the key of A. Whatever they are, you have to know the exercise is always going to hold true. All the spacing between these chords is always going to be exactly the same. So definitely make sure you get this under your belt, under your fingers, because it's a super important lesson that I think will make everything easy once you can kind of do that, once you kind of conceptually understand where all these notes are, where all these chords are. Your playing will really take off, as mine did once I really started kind of concentrating on the chords in the key instead of just trying to memorize kind of like hundreds and hundreds of songs, right? So definitely make sure you click the link below, get the tab for all of it, and then check out some of these other great guitar control videos by myself, other great instructors. Always looking for your feedback. Let us know what you want to see, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.